Recording is on.
Welcome to DXdau's weekly meeting. This is a resource coordination meeting. We're now alternating between doing a resource coordination with just a general recap week by week, and this is a resource coordination week. So we're going to talk a bit about how the different product teams are working, where they're having trouble, what their needs are, and what we can best do collectively to help. So I don't know, what's the best way to start? This is kind of the first one we've done since the kickoff of the resource coordination, where Chris presented kind of like an overall layout of the squads and talked a little bit about the budget. But yeah, I think maybe I'm open to ideas or suggestions here, but maybe we could just start, kind of go product by product and kind of talk about where the needs are, and then yeah, think about how that all ties together. Does that make sense? Maybe Geronimo or
let's try it. I can start with Swapper.
Yeah.
We've been having a bit of need of front-end developers on Swapper. We've done some trial periods on some front-ends developers, but they didn't really work out. We have one active trial right now, and yeah, it's harder than so I think we like not only Swapper probably, but we need more front-end developers. And I don't know if it's short term, because we're building stuff right now. Like we're gonna build Swapper and we're gonna build Misa, but I think at least for now there's a lot of front-end work needed to be done. Frederico is here. Maybe he can comment some, because Frederico can do front-end work. He's really good at it, but he's also very good at doing contract work. So it's a bit of balance here.
I mean, I'm currently working on the farming, liquidity mining. I think another big feature is obviously governance, and I definitely cannot just do both. So at least one like full-time developer that works on governance would be great. So that's my kind of thought on it. I can handle the farming stuff, but we need someone else to just take care of the governance aspect of Swapper.
And when you say developer, do you mean a front-end developer?
Yeah, I guess, because I mean, at the end of the day, with the governance, we are interfacing with the ERC20 guilds. So I think we can have Augusto's support, but we need to implement things in the front end. So that's kind of the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and your developer Tony was asking me some questions like regarding front end. Like, isn't he working on that?
He is currently working on that. Yes.
Yeah, Tony is in the middle of his trial period, right? So, I mean, potentially, if that works out well, then he could maybe fill that need, but it's kind of unclear, I guess, at this point. Yeah.
But either way, like from my perspective, I think we can and we'll always have a lot of front end things to work on. I see. I wish we could have maybe a front end developer that's also like a little bit of a designer also, that could help us out with a website, let's say, or plan something other than just products. We have like our website needs work, and maybe it's not our website entirely. It's just like our brand. We need to.
Yeah. Could I maybe connect you with the guys at Deep Work Studio?
Yeah.
They do like design sprints, plus also some front-end development, I believe.
Okay, yeah, sure. I have already reached out to. There's a team that did the API 3 brand and website, and I kind of like their style. They're really minimal and like high contrast. Like they seem to be like the style that we are looking for, at least. And I mean, there is like someone needs to run this branding project, and I'm not sure if an external team can do it themselves. It is a bet, but right now I'm like super busy with Swapper. I would like to take care of the brand too. I put it in my first proposal, but obviously Swapper took all my time.
Can you maybe share why the front-end developers that you trialed, why they didn't work out? I think it's important to kind of like give everyone, some confidence, and also like sharing why certain people don't work out.
I mean, there is a thread on that that is about. I shared it briefly about the other. There were 3 trial period workers that failed almost at the same time, and they almost all had the same story. And we think there might be a connection in between all those. I can share that thread, but it's I can't say it's. We don't 100% know exactly what happened, but in that thread, I shared my feelings of what happened, and I think it's a mix in between miscommunication and people trying to cheat DXdao. That's the sad
Yeah,
story.
like I think we did already discuss that in a weekly call, but mainly 3 anonymous devs. We don't know if it's actually one individual, because there were like situations which kind of signaled that they're kind of all the same in the same area, and we confronted them, and no one wanted to like be honest, so we sadly needed to tell them goodbye on their trial period.
Yeah, and the way that came about is there was one guy who started, Chikun, and he was actually doing well. Like he was producing well in the work he was doing with Omen, and he referred a second guy, and then this third guy kind of just appeared, and it was unclear if he was connected or not. And those 2 additional ones were kind of were not producing very well, and it was unclear whether they were just trying to like squeeze some money out of DXdao by like putting in a little bit of extra work on the side, or what maybe. I mean, it was really kind of unclear, but yeah, it wasn't a good. It clearly was going in the wrong direction, and then ended up all 3 of them ended up kind of getting voted down and like from their next worker proposals. So I guess that was a bit of a learning experience.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of had also a different way of onboarding people, because we didn't have so many anonymous people coming in, and we almost had people that come in through people, or someone knows someone else, or they came in through a hackathon like Federico, or I was part of the community before. So onboarding someone that comes into the chat first day and say, hey, let's trial you, it's a risk, and we took that risk 3 times, and I don't think we had a process for that, and I think it's both from my side. I don't think I did a quite well job there, because but I could have known obviously if they tried to cheat or not, and I'm obviously busy working and not taking care of workers that way. But yeah, I put it out in that thread what happened, and I think that's why we also like changed our trial periods to 2 weeks instead of having 1 month and then another month. I think it's good for us to know in like a short period how this worker is, at least if they're anonymous.
Yeah, it's interesting because I do think it is important to support anonymous participants, but yeah, they'll have to prove themselves, especially without any references and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think part of why this happened is like I said, the first one was working out well. So it wasn't like three random people came out of nowhere and like we were just like, oh, let's go with this. But like one was working well, and then I don't know if it was people he referred or he felt that like he could take advantage of the system or not, but it just like kind of then started to go bad. And yeah, it's a learning experience. I mean, I think the other thing is the market. It's tough to recruit in this type of market for people who actually have experience with Web3 and smart contract development, which is what we need. But yeah, we should keep it sounds like kind of to sum up here, like we need some front end help on Swapper. So that's like an open need right there, right?
Yeah, I would even go further and said like Omen has four front end developers. One of them has a high potential that he's actually able to like be the Solidity dev from the Omen side. But even then, I would say Omen could use like 2 additional front-end developers. There's no reason why we can't like scale up even further, which means I would say like for Omen, at least 2 front-end developers. Swapper could probably take like 3 good front-end developers. And for the new Mesa stuff, at least 3. Like we should think a little bit in a broader scale. Like we need at least 10 front-end developers.
In total, yeah, I know that. So Martin Krung is product manager for Mesa's. Kent, I don't think is on the call, right? But yes, Mesa. I mean, Adam, I think you're actually starting with that, right? So maybe you could speak to that a bit. But I mean, I think we across the board could use more front end developers. Yeah.
What happened, guys? I saw Caden made comment about Augur developers. There was some discussion. Did we get someone like from Augur?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there was a
Aragon.
Aragon, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, so Aragon had like a big exodus, including some very good developers with a lot of experience, but
and kind of including the CEO as well.
Yes, but I don't know. So has anybody been in touch with anybody from Aragon? Because I pinged the one person who I have a pretty good relationship with, and I haven't heard anything back. And yeah, I'm hearing from I just haven't heard anything else since that day of Exodus. So I'm just a little unclear what's happening. Has anybody succeeded in talking to anybody from Aragon?
Yeah, I expect that it is a huge crisis, and those people, they most of them, they worked with their heart, and I think a lot of them, they will need some time to figure out what they're gonna do next, and I think we should respect that probably, and not immediately, hey, do you want to join?
Yeah,
we can try, but I think those people right now will just want to go off.
Zed's saying in the comments that DXdao can be the rebound down. That would be okay. We're the keeper, Zed. I think that's what you got to understand.
Yeah, but they will know it later on. But either way, I think from the perspective, I would rather headhunt people or take people from other projects than going with this unknown trial periods with people. I mean, for me on Swapper, I'm delayed on stuff. I can't bet on someone to maybe be able to finish their tasks. I don't know. I've had a really, really bad luck now, and I'm behind because of that. So yeah, some more safeguards instead. And even it's I would say it rather cost more for DXdao than it costs for us with the time and all the trial periods. We investing in people and then they go away. So I would rather go with someone like level 5 day 1 if they're really, really good. And if we could headhunt people with that would be good.
these shops, like the one Christopher just mentioned, maybe the ones that you reached out to. There's another one or two, and then there's like Raid Guild, which is like a collective of developers, including front end stuff. But really want people to come and be absorbed into DXdao, right? But at this point, we want like good work, known cost, execution that you can rely on, right? So like the way we use audits, like doesn't mean the auditor is like becoming a member of DXdao, right? So we can look more into that if people are if the group is okay with that type of work.
I mean,
yeah.
Sorry, I thought you were finished, but I think you're lagging. Could we maybe have, like, instead of trying to make them understand DXdao and how DAOs works and all that, like, could we just have a bit of money set aside that we can pay like external workers? I've done like a lot of projects and they don't need to know everything. They just need to have the design and they can just create, like freelance or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that ties in budget. Like you have an extra 100K as squad leader of Swapper to get it done. Like,
I mean, we could try that route. Like we don't need to do it with something super important, but just like some easy front end work and see how that goes. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with Sky. Like, I think we need to put it in the context of the budget and kind of like what makes sense per project.
Yeah. I mean,
just like TopTool or Upwork. I think we have some like other options before we like open up to something like Upwork, because we know of some shops in this space, but there's going to be a cost shops, I guess. Oh, I guess that could be good too. Yeah, we could try it, but filtering applicants, it's a kind of a full-time job, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, we need to think about, we are in middle of a bull run and all-time high. These people, if we're looking for like Web3 experience, at least these people will be like all the good ones will be gone probably. Maybe not, but just to keep that in mind. So yeah, I'd rather go with shops where the team is like, they have they're in the same team and we can go back to them and they can learn about DXdao and we need that. We can use them when we need them.
How do you guys want to go about the budgeting conversation? Like, should like product managers try to put together a budget for each product and then we come together and kind of like see what it looks like at a high level?
Well, I guess are they like I guess I'm thinking things that can be like boxed up and be like, this is what we want, and then like put a price on it, or do we want to like go with the like Swapper needs? We don't know exactly what Swapper needs in terms of like outsourcing work to other people, but it should like have 100K for 3 months or something.
Yeah, I'm picturing like the product managers come with the roadmap and they say, this is what we want to do. This is what I think I need to spend to be able to do it, right? And I need these people and I need this extra budget to hire this contractor for this one-off thing. And then like we, look at that and basically try to like approve like these plans to do that. What do you guys think, product folks?
Yeah, that's definitely important. I would need help because I'm very focused on GitHub activities. So like, I think the best person for me is probably Sky. I'm helping out, trying to have an overview. But we had the first weekly Omen call on Monday, which is great. And I think having like, we should sit down with the Omen team to think about how the Omen team completely defines the next Q1 for this year. But it's definitely needed. I'm like, the reason why there is no roadmap is because we need to kill features. We need to include features. There are like way more higher priorities right now to just deliver features and networks. But the roadmap is very.
Yeah, we have had a like working roadmap, but it's always changing, right? So like on that roadmap would be like Omen on Arbitrum, but like they're not like hard goals of the roadmap have been like the new features like scalar markets and then DXdao deployment, which is obviously taken longer than initially expected and things like that. But there's a pretty good base that like we could really, I think, and lay out. It's kind of OKR related, right? It relates to what we're talking about with OKRs, but then it has to be very adaptable because of how everything's moving so fast.
Yeah, I don't think roadmaps need to be set in stone, but like it's the kind of thing where you lay out some, like you have some idea, and then that's what we use to build a framework for the budget, right? And a framework for recruiting, and et cetera, right? So, and it's also good to have it, I think, in terms of like communication to the community as to like what's coming up and what's being worked on. But yeah, understood that for Omen thus far, like, you know, it's been working towards scalar markets, working towards DXdao. Those have kind of essentially been the roadmap, right? And you guys are busy shipping that. But
yeah, it's definitely possible to separate like this will happen and this might happen, and that's already good to have, right? Like we don't know if Arbitrum will work out, but a testing environment will be installed, and we will need to see. And like once that is done, we need to think about bridge UI and stuff like that. But yeah, I think we can start trying to summarize the next 6 months at least.
Yeah, and I think just thinking back to what the point or like what the goal of these is, not to like predict what the next 6 months could be so we could have like a rundown. Like one, it would be like, how can we fund or how can we create something to attract developers or development houses to like work on this? And that to me is like the top priority. And like the second one, I guess maybe the same, is like communication with the community. And I don't think those require like precise specific ones, and they should be very flexible on that. But I think that those are the goals of that. And I'd be happy to help anyone. I want to help with think about doing some Swapper on how we can kind of do that maybe. Yeah, but I think the goal is how do we like have something that we can like send to people, send them money, and they give us back like finished products, finished code.
I lost you on that last sentence. So what was the last thing you're saying? Sounds more like a spec.
Well, I'm just saying like the goal here is to get things to give something to people that they can, you know, get it back at us. So like whatever that is, we don't need specifics on that. That's just kind of like the underlying that what we need is the base minimum.
I guess I'm not quite sure, but like I would propose that for the budgeting and the roadmap, maybe for the next resource meeting, if we could be prepared for that meeting with like a 6-month roadmap and budget. And it doesn't, like I said, I don't think it needs to be like set in stone. We're not going to like, I don't think that's the idea here. It's understood that this is a pretty dynamic environment, but just like, this is currently what we think the next set of priorities are that would take us 6 months out. And this is what we think we need. Yeah, like not something that Chris was saying can be informal. Like, I don't think this is something that product managers should consume like several days doing. Just like, you know, a couple hours. Like, what are your top like priorities that you think will take the 6 months? What does your team look like? And how much money do you think you're going to need to get you through the 6 months? And like, maybe Sky can help Geronimo. I can kind of work with Martin Krung on the Mesa side, and maybe Chris, you can help set a Swapper. We can kind of team up to do this. I actually think that the governance itself right now, it's not really been seen as like a team, but there's several governance related efforts that we've done, and it's obviously very important just for maintaining the infrastructure and doing decentralized, like achieving a goal of decentralization. So like things like the multi-call, the ERC20 guilds, and what else? And there's other things like the stuff that like Elon's been doing with DXdao deployments and stuff. I feel like we can also roll that up into like call it like a governance squad, right? And also put a budget around that, because I think looking forward, we also have governance 2.0, and we need to make sure that that's like being supported. Actually had a great talk with Matan yesterday, and I think so hopefully we'll have something worked out with DAOstack about supporting basically the requirements that come out of governance 2.0 and working with them on that. But I think we'll need to put some structure around that as well. But
yeah, a governance squad would be great. And then there's a couple squads which are not product related, I guess, but like there's the marketing squad, and then there's what will be soon a more active biz dev / partnership opportunity squad, which is a little bit contributions. But as we get these products live, and like we had a call yesterday about partnerships and opportunities, and that's really going to ramp up as Swapper goes live and Mesa IDO platform goes live, and we'll need like proactive outreach in addition to managing incoming opportunities and things. So like that will be a smaller squad budget plan. Oh fuck, my internet bad? Sorry.
You were a little intermittent. I think we kind of got
the
basic idea.
But that's actually like I consider it as a very important group. Like we are not doing anything business related, right? We are not going out and making sure Swapper is getting integrated or something. Yeah, it's an alpha, but I think we should already start thinking about like having a huge list of like chaining style, not in terms of medium posts, but rather like true integrations, right? Like we need to go out there and trying to get like proper partners.
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is like we'll maybe need like a biz dev squad, right, with its own. It should also have a budget.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like I'm not sure if that is like a good idea, but I'm trying to leverage the community with like rewards about great ideas, like for Swapper usage or Omen, that we kind of leverage the community, and which potentially will be like the leading biz dev related members in the future, right? Like, why can't we set rewards for successful partnerships?
Keenan, what do you think in terms of communications and marketing? Like, do you think like squad, if we're talking about breaking kind of things up into, not breaking it up necessarily, but having teams, at least in terms of like, budgeting and organization, does it make sense to have like comms be a separate group from BizDev, or could those be the same group for now?
I think long-term, definitely. But in our current stage, it might just make sense to kind of have this a package deal, as long as we're making sure that we're hitting all of the bases,
So kind of like biz dev and community could be like one thing right now, since we don't have a lot of people like working on those things. But if it grows, it grows. Yeah.
I think once we start, obviously growing internally, it'll be important to differentiate and whatnot.
Yeah, like and I'm not sure how like, does it make sense to have like a comms squad, or like I expect that specific I'm not sure if like everyone at the comms team will be deep in those product related things, like thinking about the presidential election market. Like the developer team didn't make sure that we are like properly present on crypto Twitter or in general like social media about making sure people know about what's going on. Also like with the Claros case, I'm not sure like should the Omen team have its own comms person, or should we like try to educate the a bigger comms team, which is making sure that all things related to DXdao communicate out into the public.
That's a good thought. I think long term it might make sense, depending on our growth, to have like separate comms people for each squad, which would kind of invalidate having a comm squad. But I don't know. I feel like we kind of all work hand in hand really well. Like if there's stuff that developers want to be notifying the community of, that your squad community manager, or whatever they may be called, isn't aware of, it would be a little bit of a closer relationship. So I don't know. Does anyone else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I think there should be maybe I think just the marketing squad of its own should be able to serve Omen, Swapper, stuff like that. And then there needs to be a process basically for the Omen squad to say like, this is our like product roadmap, and the marketing squad will take that and translate that into their like whatever marketing stuff they need to do. And that, I mean, this should all be kind of like in my opinion, in OKRs, right? And they could be like, for the roadmap, for the 6 months Omen roadmap, there will be 3 articles, 200 tweets or whatever. It's not 200, but enough tweets, and yeah, something like that. But there should be sort of process and structure around that.
Yeah.
Just on that, I do think we need to also be looking out for more like content creators. Zet was kind of talking about the website, and I think there's like a whole bunch of, every time we do something, there's like, different visuals that we want to have. But I also think like we need some, I think we need to do a lot of articles and writing and content creation.
Yeah,
I think my takeaway from a lot of this stuff, like I'm like some of their members here, I wanted to take on a lot of things and say, hey, I can do this and this and that, but in the end, like the reality sets in, and I couldn't. I would say we need like some people that could just drive these stuff, even though they could be short term. So I know we can get designers and like people can do brands and stuff like that, but I don't want them to do everything by themselves. We have talented people here, we have information, we have a vision. I don't want someone just to create something that looks good but doesn't actually have any relevancy for us, at least. So there's one thing to work on something, and another thing to just to make it right for us.
Yeah, and I think it's like with communications and marketing, it actually requires a depth of knowledge that is hard, right? It like takes time for people to kind of understand the products well enough to be able to talk about them, without like, because they're all pretty deeply, each one individually is fairly deep and technical. So I think it's hard to like hire or like find people to write articles, right? Like to be like, hey, I just want like this article about, Swapper roadmap. Can you write that? It's really hard for people who aren't deeply involved, I think, to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I would even go crazy about, like, even tweets are difficult because it's technical. You need to explain, and that's fine. I think, and there we need to find a process where we like, from each squad, we just like signal somehow that like, hey guys, this is new stuff. Let's help make this technical thing human readable, and like at the end of the day, we're trying to communicate to the public, and like it's simple channel where we're like, okay, guys, help to tweet about that, and then I think we're already doing that, but there needs to be more proactive from like Swapper team, Omen team to like directly signal, okay, guys, we need help here. We didn't do it with the presidential market. Like there was some process, but at the end, like I don't think we even tweeted about like how it resolved and stuff like that. That's not a criticism. That's also a fault on the Omen team itself. But there needs to be a better way to making sure that we are always present on the public about what's going on at the DXdao.
Yeah, and I think the way we can do this, because it's super technical and stuff, is to make it a priority and just like, if we are organized enough and add some structure, just like make room for the product folks to communicate. And then I think Keenan, I'm curious what you think about this. I think like Keenan as like the comms manager and Mike, Alicia could like basically help like distribute it, right? But they need somebody kind of feeding them like pretty accurate descriptions of what's going on. I think it's a little too much to ask Keenan, who's also just started like a month ago, to be able to like understand everything in depth and like be completely attuned to everything across the board, right? Like I think we need some kind of a funnel where product managers or, you know, me and Chris or whoever's like, you know, got eyes on things is kind of saying like, hey, this is about to happen. Like throw this in the tweet, like backlog. And then Keenan and Mike can basically be responsible for like timing and distributing that and like making sure it's like coherent. But I don't think I think it's too much to ask like one person or like contractors to be able to like describe this stuff in detail.
I think there's also like, I don't expect people that work with product or development to automatically think about opportunities to tweet and stuff like that. So there still needs we need a strategy, and like, why are we tweeting? Like, what are we doing? What's the purpose? And there's a lot of I think we don't need to know like everything. We could just tweet stuff for now. But I think there's still like a strategy where DXdao, I at least my view, I think DXdao should be more relevant in a lot of discussions, and we are not. Just be there. Yeah. Just have an opinion and be there. And it doesn't need to be about our products. We don't always need to shill ourselves, but just to be relevant in discussions. Like a lot of things is developing right now, and we're not.
And so that's where I think like the comms team and like communications folks should be like focused, right? They should be like having their pulse on the community and like, where are people talking about DXdao? Where would we like people to be talking about DXdao? And I think in terms of planning, like we actually did exactly this last week. We had a meeting with you know, Keenan and Mike and some others to talk about like what's coming up, right? So like, for example, we have this multi-call proposal, and it sets the stage for this whole like set of things, right? So kind of like giving communications and marketing like a heads up, right? Like this is coming down the pike, and this is the stuff that I think needs to be communicated. Like I think if we can kind of just get in the habit of checking in, right? Like basically like, I think the way I see it is like the product teams, probably the product managers responsible for this, is saying like, look, this is the roadmap stuff in the next month. And like, hey, Keenan, Mike, like these are things that are going to need to be communicated. Here's a heads up, and we'll help you prepare those tweets and make sure that they are like technically sound. Because I think what we've been doing is like, oh, this happened. Like Keenan, Mike, why aren't we tweeting about it? And they're like, how's this? And we're like, no, that's not quite right. Like, let us tweak this like words and stuff. And that's not really like a great process.
I think we're
totally
slowly
agree.
moving towards that anyway. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like to Zed's point. Can you repeat?
I just said I think we're slowly like without even thinking of it, moving towards that process anyway. But I think having a focus on it, like you mentioned, would be important.
Yeah, like to Zed's point, I think there are like two areas we should focus on, like public communication about like ecosystem, and we could communicate what we think, not only about us, but I think we are like, first we need to fix our own shit, and then we can actually do both together. But I think a major improvement process needs to happen on like how we communicate our own shit first. And that's also like, there are tons of proposals which should be shilled because they're great and we're actually doing great stuff, but we are like not making sure also from the dev side to signal that it's actually important. And like, I agree with John, like there needs to be a process and we need to find a better way to help the comms team.
I think there's a step we're gonna move forward with is with our community internally. What Keenan is building for Discord, at least, I think we will have at least there, not on Twitter, but on Discord, proposals will be more communicated and talked about and even discussed, not only on the forums. So I think that could be a bridge where we start, because right now, like when we're not posting so much, it's like when you haven't updated your profile picture for 2 years. Like you kind of like scared to update it because it becomes a big deal. Like almost every time we post something, it becomes a big deal, and you need to triple check the spellings and stuff like that. I kind of understand like where we are, and I felt it when we announced Swapper Alpha. I'm like, holy shit, we haven't announced anything. People are waiting for Swapper. So I would say now when we shilled a proposal, we got a lot of shit. Sorry, because the community thought, hey, they are basically shilling something not neutrally. They want people to vote on it. That's why they posted it, because we didn't post about other proposals. So I think like for now, we need to make it a more normal thing instead of do a big thing about it. And I think maybe Discord is going to be the first step, and I will start posting more on Twitter and stuff like that.
Keenan, do you want to talk a little bit about Discord and what you're thinking and how that can work? Because it's looking great. I don't know how many people have seen it, but
yeah, I've still only shared it internally, just for testing purposes. Let me get it open here. I think the primary goal is that A, everything's much easier to follow, and B, we can be a much tighter, I guess, with our community. Like right now, coming into this, the first thing I noticed is A, if there is a community, it's so like spread out, and like there isn't like focused discussion happening really anywhere, that I was having difficulty even communicating with anyone. Twitter only works so well for that intermittent communication, and Telegram kind of seemed to serve that purpose. But as you can tell, Telegram before I started was a bit of a mess, as people were saying, and even still, it's still somewhat of a mess, and that's just the nature of Telegram. And I think Discord will allow us to have much deeper discussion and allow us to keep the community much more informed than any other outlet we have right now can.
I think even for us internally, it will be huge. I would say today, Keybase, we are on Keybase because Keybase is what we could separate the topics and we could talk about them and stuff like that. We don't give that to the community today, and Discord will give them that power. If someone wants to talk something specific, but they don't want to post it on like the whole Telegram, they won't post and talk about it. So I would say Discord is going to be a huge step for us.
Absolutely, and I think it'll help with growth like exponentially as far as community goes.
Yeah, I was just gonna say the one thing I also like about it is I think it does a good job of dividing like the products and like DXdao like in one, because I think like you go to the Telegram, it's like just DXdao, right? And the Discord does a good job of separating those out by products so people could come specifically for Swapper or Mesa or Omen, but also find out information about DXdao. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I want to add that I think there's a lot of room for automation here, and I think like the simplest thing is every proposal that goes on Alchemy can be tweeted out. Every DAO talk post in DXdao can be tweeted out. This not necessarily means that this will happen from the DXdao account, but there could be like, whatever, DXdao events bot on Twitter that basically tweets all these things and also shares them on Telegram and on Discord. So people will know that things are happening. So yeah, like it's kind of like a low-hanging fruit, I think, that could expose a lot more information to the community.
I think this is already planned for Discord for one, and I think that having it at least as a start at Discord is going to be great because there's a lot more focused discussion, and we have a little bit more tools to be working with. Like ergo, we can set up a channel specifically, automatically, of course, for new proposals and have people discuss it in their own little group. And then when the proposal's gone, we can move it to an archive where we can see it in the past, etc. And I think that a lot of those kind of automated Twitter bots, at least for me personally, I wouldn't use them. And it's not that people wouldn't use them, it's that it's a lot of clutter. And if we're going to be wanting to putting out important ones specifically, I think that that has a place on the DXdao Twitter anyway. And so there'll be a lot of the like worker proposals and whatnot that could be discussed in like a smaller avenue and not like take up a cluttered Twitter, at least is my opinion. If other people have different opinions about that, I think in the future we could probably look into it.
Well, I guess there's probably bots within Discord, right? I guess could we do that and automate some of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So one of the positive things about these, I don't want to throw shit on other projects, but these Discord DAOs where people actually don't have a real DAO and just call themselves a DAO, and then they have a Discord where they discuss stuff, is they actually came up with these with this style of like proposing something on, let's say, on what's the name again, Snapshot, and then having a channel specifically for that. They discuss it and they vote on it, and then it closes. And they have like a huge voter turn up, and the discussion is like super focused about that specifically thing. And then you can, like, I would say that's one of the like big things they created, and I love that. And I mean several of these communities, and just if you don't follow these projects too much, you can just go into that one, check the history and read about it, and then you see if it came through or not, and then you're done. And for us right now, we have the information all over the place, and maybe you need to check recordings and DAO talk threads, and I would say I look forward trying this style, even though maybe we don't want to split up the discussions in too many places, but I want to try it.
No, I think that's huge, and I think that is one huge step how we actually come way closer to our DXD holders than the Telegram chat. Like the Telegram chat is horrible, but having like a Discord channel where most of us should be present and listen and communicate and see how those snapshot proposals evolve is very important for us.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible today to, like, if someone posts a new snapshot proposal, it's gone. If like 10 people comments, it's gone in the Telegram, right? So yeah, and we have a lot of members.
Yeah, and so what I'm hearing, basically try to move community from Telegram to Discord, right? We'd still use Keybase as like the kind of full-time worker place to discuss things in depth, but try to connect with community through Discord, automate a lot of the tweeting and YouTube videos into there, and yeah, I mean that sounds pretty cool.
For sure.
I also see.
Go ahead, Jean.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like I see the Discord channel as like a proper onboarding to the DXdao.
Oof,
right?
this is exactly what I wanted to say. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. But yeah, I can say something. So I like. I would love to have that bounty list of like this article. I don't know who sent it about Gumroad and how they work. I would love to have that list where anyone can just come in and just take a task and do it, and we reward them. And this is a really nice way of onboarding community members or people interested in working without having this huge long process of talking. And like if there's something someone can do and they do it and we like it, I mean, super great. We could do it on Discord.
Totally.
I think, related to the last thing we talked about Discord, is that the potential to distribute rep to active community members. I found a tool that lets us kind of assign a ranking based on activity in the last X amount of time. So let's say it's based on messages in the support channel in the last 90 days. And then we can take a snapshot every, say, 90 days or something. And depending on the level of activity, we could, in theory, distribute rep that way. I think is very interesting.
Regarding rep and giving to community, I have a feedback about that. People don't really like when we nominate them, and I usually go say to them like, hey, I nominated you, and DXdao kind of like wants you to claim your rep, and this is how you do it. They don't do it. Like gas price is high and it's a long. It's kind of like a process here, and maybe we want to fix that process. But I would say it would be also good to maybe, I don't know exactly the idea I gave you, Keenan, but like we maybe like have that place to be on Discord, and we nominate during the month instead of in the end of the month, because maybe you forgot about like that. I don't remember exactly idea, but I think Discord could be a huge help here, where someone could be nominated in the middle of the month or when they've done something directly, and we can have that like as a channel or something.
Mm-hmm. All right, good stuff. Yeah, I'm super excited about the Discord. Great work with that, Keenan, so far, and I think it's going to be huge for the community. I think we've used up about an hour here, so I just want to kind of recap with what I've been taking notes on, like kind of action items and what to expect for next time, and then if that sounds good, we can wrap up here. So again, we're doing this every other week, right? So like next Thursday is going to be just a general recap to kind of like basically help inform the community of everything going on, inform each other of everything going on. But in 2 weeks, we'll do this again, right? And so one of the main things I think we talked about doing is basically for next time, we'll kind of try to talk about budget and roadmap, and product teams will present a 6-month kind of roadmap and budget request. Again, like not anything kind of set in stone on the roadmap, but what we currently see it as. And I like what Christopher said, maybe we can do like basically like a 5-minute presentation for each product, and with like leaving another 5 minutes for questions. And kind of on that, so I think the primary responsibility would be the product managers for understanding the priorities and like kind of roughly what they will need. But I think we kind of talked about, you know, maybe Chris Powers will help Zet, Sky can help Geronimo. I can probably help Martin on Mesa, and that way it's a little bit of a team effort because we know everybody's super busy on the product side. We don't want to overwhelm our product managers. In addition to those 3 products, we are also kind of touching on governance itself, forming its own kind of squad. We maybe have to figure out how that looks. I don't think we have a clear leader on that front at the moment. And also kind of taking our biz dev and communications, kind of general community efforts, and also kind of treating that as a squad. Kind of, it's a small group right now, so be kind of maybe a wider scope, like kind of taking biz dev, marketing, and comms all together. Keenan, maybe you can kind of help lead that effort up, and maybe work with Sky, who's kind of doing a lot of the partnership stuff.
Sure.
If that makes sense. If not, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, the other things we talked about at the very beginning, before the recording start, we talked about kind of moving some of the treasury into stablecoins. Obviously, we have the relayer is in process, but because that's going to take some time to really ramp up into like moving lots of money at a time, and because the market's hot and we have no stablecoins right now, we were discussing using the dev multi-sig to move, smaller chunks, maybe 50K, 100K at a time. Sky, did you want to lead that up to the first one?
Sorry, yeah, I can outline
It's a good idea.
that in a proposal and make it, initiate it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And then in general, we talked about, there's a need for developers like Web3 devs and Solidity devs. I think we also discussed how it's going to be hard to find experienced devs with those skills, but I'd say, everybody should be on the lookout. And if there's somebody good, then try to tell them about what we're up to. Yep. And then we also talked a little bit about the communications flow. I think we feel like we've been a little bit spotty on Twitter, and we're trying to improve that process and kind of generally having product teams kind of feeding Keenan and Mike on communications and marketing, just like feeding them with upcoming events, so they're ready and they understand kind of like what needs to be communicated, and then it's kind of in their court to manage that and disseminate stuff. And I think we've already started to move in that direction, as Keenan said, and I think we'll kind of keep that up and get that worked out. Yep. And then finally, Discord. Discord's coming up. Keenan's been doing a great job, and we discussed that a little bit. So I don't think any additional action items there, but Keenan, keep up the great work. And so, I think it's been a great call. Looking forward to putting this into the budget perspective. I think that's something we've touched on before, but I think this could really help solidify this discussion when we tie together product roadmaps and budget. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say good call, but very good summary. I thought that was like a very good rundown. I guess we had a lot of things to talk about. It's good that we had all these things, but there's a lot of good stuff in that.
Yeah. I just want to make sure. I think it's that was a great discussion, but it's all about now like what we do to follow through and bring it into the next one. So hopefully it works. Mike. All right. Well, anything else?
And an M1. I got the whole thing.
Oh,
new me.
I want the M1. All right, guys. Have a good one.
All right, guys.
See probably most people
Bye-bye.
tomorrow for product strategy.
Yeah. See you guys.
All right, bye-bye.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.